Today, let's really talk in depth about the Mann Act, also known as the White Slave Traffic Act of 1910. Now, before we go any further, let's talk about this term white slavery. A lot of people hear that and automatically think that it equates to chattel slavery here within the United States. It doesn't. Um, it's talking about human trafficking, and white slavery has since been replaced with the term trafficking or human trafficking. It refers to human trafficking or forced labor. More often than not, when it comes to white slavery, marriage was used in order to entrap victims, along with some other methods, but that's predominantly what it was. Now, also during the course of the 1900s, white slavery also loosely, in some circles, was immigrant prostitution. And that was because Euro Americans alleged that immigrant women were being brought to the United States for the sole purpose of sexual slavery. Now that we've gotten that taken care of, let's move forward. On June 25th, 1910, the Mann Act passed via the 61st U.S. Congress. It received its name from Representative James Robert Mann, a Republican out of Illinois. It invoked the Commerce Clause to felonize the use of interstate or foreign commerce to transport women for immoral purposes. It criminalizes the transport of, and I quote, any woman or girl for the purpose of prostitution or debauchery or any other immoral purpose. And keep in mind, this immoral purposes was left to everyone's discretion to interpret for quite a while. Now, the aim of the act was towards human trafficking, prostitution, and immorality. In 1907, a commission was appointed to investigate the problem of immigrant prostitutes, as we discussed earlier. The commission believed and therefore concluded that no girl would become a prostitute without being held captive or drugged. Now, the captive and or drug also falls into the category of white slavery. This assessment led to public outrage, which urged for the passing of the Mann Act. Now, there were some cons to the Mann Act. Many types of consensual sexual activity was criminalized under the act. It held racist undertones, which we will touch on later, and the immoral purposes was broadly used to prosecute, but not contained to the following: premarital, extramarital, and interracial relationships. Now, after the Caminetti v. U.S. of 1917 SCOTUS case, SCOTUS determined that illicit fornication, even when consensual, constituted an immoral purpose. Interesting. Men could be held liable irrespectively, and women could be held as an accessory to the crime, even if the crime was committed towards them. Now, the Mann Act has never been repealed, but it has been amended a few times. Let's talk about the most notable times that it's been amended. On February 6, 1978, via the 95th Congress, the definition of transportation was updated. It added protections against commercial sexual exploitation for minors, child porn. And then November 7th, 1986, H.R. 5560 from the 99th Congress addressed the misuse against consensual sex via replacing any other immoral purpose with any sexual activity for which any person can be charged with a criminal offense. This focused on criminalizing various aspects of child pornography. It also replaced debauchery and any other immoral purpose with any sexual activity for which any person can be charged with criminal offense, and made it gender neutral, because up until this point it ignored the fact that people outside of women or young girls could face intimate assault. Now, join me back tomorrow and we'll go over some notable prosecutions under the Mann Act.